Ame, la la le, demal ma xame ci lo taxaw am na lu yàgg nelaw ci yow yow ba ko xame kon kenn du la daane affaire de ndaanaan Gam Talent ken njay ndaana Gam Talent TV yen njay ndaana. You know the deal. This is your boy Bai Barhama. I'm watching Gambian Talent TV. Bés bu nekk, you know what I mean? Keep watching. These guys, ñooy ndaanaan, certified ndaanaan. That's what it is.
Way back, and we know the role that the media has played in the struggle against dictatorship in the Gambia for the 22 years that we had a dictatorship in the Gambia. So first, on behalf of the Secretary General and all the members of the party, we thank you very much for always showing up whenever we call these press briefings. Of course, most of this year we did not have any briefing per se. We have issued statements. But I want to give you good news in the new year that briefings would be a regular issue. It may not be possible all the time to have the Secretary General and the senior leadership of the party. But the youth wing and the communication wing would be engaging throughout 2023. Before we start the briefing, it is necessary to say that the party leader, His Excellency, will make a very brief statement, and the statement will be given out to you. There will be an opportunity for a Q&A specifically. But again, on behalf of the Secretary General and the party leader, we wish to wish all Gambians a Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year. We wish to also express how delighted we are that the media is diversified, is vibrant, and is doing the job that it is tasked by the citizenry to do. Of course, because today is Christmas Eve, we call you not because we want to call you, but because of the circumstances that has compelled us to do that. I was listening very few days ago to the Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture talking about the history of Christmas. And whenever we talk about Christmas, we remember our former campaign manager, the Right Honorable Lady, Femi Peters. So we know what Christmas means. It means it is a season of peace. It is a season of goodwill to all men. But as long as one citizen is unlawfully being deprived of his basic liberty, we feel this is good enough reason to call you at such short notice and for you to respond in like manner. So on behalf of our United Democratic Party, I want to say Merry Christmas to all Gambians, particularly to our Christian community. On behalf of the Secretary General, I welcome all of you to this press briefing. Secretary General, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tal, the spokesperson and also head of the Human Rights and Legal Office of the UDP. Members of the press will forgive me because my voice, I lost my voice in Janjamure. I have been trying to recover it, but I've still not been able to retrieve it. I'm told sometimes when you have cameras and walis, when they put their spells on us, it's difficult to really get back to where you are. Nonetheless, I believe I'll be audible enough for you to hear what I'm saying. And of course, at the end of it, you probably will feel disappointed because there will be no statements that I will deliver to you. There may be papers I'll be delivered to you, but no statements. What I'm saying here is just off the top of my head. So You will therefore excuse me if we do not give you any written statements. Of course, the spokesperson has stated in his opening remarks that when the liberty of a one citizen is seized, it is a cause of concern, and it should be a cause of concern for everyone, because you never know what liberty means, what freedom means, unless you lose it. Those of us who have been subjected to deprivation of our personal liberties, we know what it means when one is deprived of his personal liberty. Of course, we are here today on the deprivation of Mr. Sabally's liberty. Our Constitution provides, among other things, its preambles, that this Constitution, I'll quote, this Constitution provides for a fundamental law which affirms our commitment to freedom, justice, probity, and accountability. And it goes further to say, the fundamental rights and freedoms enshrined in this Constitution shall ensure for all time respect for and observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to ethnic considerations, gender, language, or religion. That is a preamble which really introduces us into the Constitution, its various sections, to see how these fundamental values have been catered for in the Constitution and how they should be protected. Section 18 imposes an obligation on the executive and all organs of the executive, as well as the legislature, to enforce and observe the fundamental rights that are enshrined in the Constitution, and charges the judiciary to enforce fundamental human rights. The Constitution charges the judiciary to enforce fundamental human rights. It does not dictate to the judiciary that it must conspire with anybody to deprive that person of his fundamental rights. We'll come to that in the course of these discussions. The Section 19.3 of the Constitution provides that a person arrested on suspicion of having committed an offense or about to commit, and who is not released, must without undue delay be brought before a court, and in any event within 72 hours. And we emphasize, and in any event within 72 hours. You find a similar provision in the 1970 Constitution, Section 15. You find a similar provision, but the words "in any event within 72 hours, within 5 days" is not prescribed in that Constitution, so it is left open. And Section 37 also says when a person alleges that any of the provisions of the fundamental human rights is being or is likely to be violated in relation to him, should apply to the High Court for redress. And of course, what we'll come to see is that government itself says that, well, we recognize that Mr. Sabally's fundamental rights will be infringed. It's likely to be infringed by us. So we are coming to you for some kind of order that would justify the continued detention of Mr. Sabally against the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are privy to some documents filed by the state, ex parte, to deprive a person of his fundamental rights. Now, whenever any individual is to be deprived of his fundamental right, he has a right to be heard. He must be heard. It cannot be made ex parte. But what has happened is that they come under some, what they call some practice directives. And that practice directive does not allow for the deprivation of a person of his rights, allows one to make applications for matters to be heard during the vacation. By the ex parte motion, the state makes spurious allegations against Mr. Sabally that when addressed some TikTokers, he did say, we'll take the government. Mr. Sabally never said so. What Mr. Sabally said is that, Mbe banko talale. And Mbe banko talale, every politician says that, Mbe banko talale. And he said, even Hanijani local government elections. And ladies and gentlemen, I like to play for you what, at least for the benefit of the Mandinka speakers and others, you know, sorry, I'm not very good at these gadgets, you know. I'd like you to listen what Kadi Drame said. Mr. Sabally said, "Mbe banko lockdown lale," which in essence means that we are locking the country so that Adama Barrow will find it uncomfortable to go in any part of this country. Don't we hear people say this is a no-go area for these political parties? Don't we hear that? So if we say that, if Sabally says that "Mbe banko lockdown lale," what is wrong with that? Is that tantamount to taking over a government? It might be in preparation of taking over a government, because it is said that local government election of Membina, we must make sure that we go on aggressive recruitment of voters, so that the next local government election, he mentioned the mayors and the chairman, mentioned Danjo, so that they will succeed. But, gentlemen of the press and Gambians, this is a scheme, it's a ploy that had been contrived several months ago. You will recall in their NPP forum that we must silence Momodou Sabally, we must silence Ibrahim Adiba, and a third person, that they must be silenced so that they can go ahead with their politics. That evil scheme that they contrived is what has now been hatched. And unfortunately, the judiciary has been used in this unholy act. I want to say that the judge who did this is not an ignorant person. Nekkul ne judge bi dafa ñàkk xam-xam, xam na ko, xam na lu moo def, xam na luwa bi, waaye dafa def ne maa tey naa la tëj until the 5th of January. Doo ci mun dara, you big mouth, di nga tëj sa gémmiñ bi. That is all. And he is doing so to satisfy Adama Barrow and his cohorts. We've seen the TRRC report, how it castigated the judiciary, when the judiciary was used by the regime to suppress Gambians. We are now seeing again the judiciary being used by the Barrow administration to suppress a political opponent. We have seen in the TRRC report how the security forces were used to really trample on political opponents. We are seeing again being repeated again. Now one asks yourself, what was the never again mantra? What is it for? Why was the need to really have conducted this, this investigation by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission if the very government that commissioned such, such an investigation can now turn around and doing exactly what the former regime was doing? We do not have any hope for this country. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to assure all of you that in fact what is happening is just an abuse of the judicial process. What is happening is that the judiciary, the police are conniving with Adama Barrow because they know that local government elections are coming, they are losing ground, so this is a way to intimidate people. We will never be intimidated. We will never be intimidated. We'll make sure that the councils that we have, we retain them, and also make sure that the councils that we are aspiring to gain, you do not reach them. We will, and that way, we will definitely take the country, and we are prepared to take the country. If you mean taking the country, meaning taking the government, well, that is your interpretation. When somebody says, "Mga banko nga lockdown," a banko lockdown, does that mean we're taking the government? But I'll give you the affidavits of somebody who calls himself Lamin Cham. I don't know what type of person he is. He swears by a false affidavit because Mr. Sabally never used the word government. He said banco. How many times have people heard, lawyer Dabo, I'm singing, lawyer Dabo Bankota? Why have they thought that is treason? They're pretending to be what I'm not. Why have they not said that is treason? But because Mr. Sabally is a thorn in their flesh, because Mr. Sabally doesn't mince words, he says exactly as it is. That is why they think that this is a way to silence him. And to silence him, they have to call in aid the judiciary to help them in this heinous, in this shameful act, because they know that they cannot. In fact, in their affidavit, they said that because we cannot keep him for more than 72 hours, therefore lock him for us. That any sensible judge who is not being martyred will say, no, this is what the Constitution says. We are not going to partner with you. In fact, what we expect is that if you want to do this, we expect Mr. Sabally to come under Section 37 of the Constitution so that I can order for his release. But I will not perpetuate his detention because that will be me, a judge, asking you to infringe the Constitution. It's shameful. It's really shameful. And our country have not bargained for this. These are not the lessons we learned from the TRRC. The lessons we have learned from the TRRC is that we should be measured. We should be protective of the laws of this country. We should be protective of the individual, of the citizens of this country, unless they commit an offense. If you suspect somebody has committed an offense, and then you go to court, without any charge, you go to court and say detain him, and the court readily grants that. Really, I am ashamed that our judiciary is starting to behave as, or some of the judges in our judiciary, starting to behave the way they were behaving in Yahya Jammeh's time. It's not a good omen. Now, if I feel that Mr. Wali has committed sedition and I don't want my investigation, what do I do? I go to court and say, please detain him further because I want to do my investigations. The bribing of his personal liberty. That is the trend they want to set in this country. And it is a trend that we cannot accept and we must not accept. Gambians must know that Solo Sanden died to make sure that in this country, tyranny does not rear its head. Gambians went to the polls on the 1st of December to elect Adama Barrow in order to bring an end to dictatorship in this country. But alas, I think Mr. Barrow is right. The dictator is ourselves. We are the dictators. The dictator is us. And Barrow's gradual ascendancy to dictatorship is being aided by the police, is being aided by the judiciary. And this is something that we cannot accept, and we must not accept. I call on the Human Rights Commission of the Gambia to join with United Democratic Party to bring an end to this horrible state of affairs. I appeal to all NGOs that are concerned with human rights activities to team up with us, because this is not in Sabally. This is against our fundamental laws of the country. And Sabally just happened to be, the person in the center of it. It could have been any of us. So I appeal to all to join us, that the decadence into which it has gradually sliding into is abated. Otherwise, this country will be sorry for itself. See, I think Mr. Tao has stated in his opening remark that this is a season of peace. Absolutely. This is a season of peace. Christ came to redeem humanity from disaster. And there cannot be a greater disaster than denying people of their fundamental rights guaranteed by the Constitution. In this season, one should behave in ways that promote peace. One should make statements in ways that promote peace. But I want to conclude to say that the greatest threat to peace and stability is injustice. That is the greatest threat. Where you have injustice, it always provides a recipe for instability. And this country of ours, where we have said in one national anthem, let justice guide our actions, it must be so. These just cannot be incantations in our national anthem. We must also live by it, abide by it, practice it. In that way, we are sure that we are building a just society, a society that will be free from violence. When you push me to the wall, I would have no recourse other than to push back. And that is not good. I have said it over and over, that the peace and stability of the country is the responsibility of every one of us. Everyone, every Gambian, and every person resident in the Gambia has a responsibility to ensure that the stability of this country is maintained. But there is the greater responsibility is on government. If you start misusing your powers, if you start misusing your laws to suppress people, their fundamental freedoms, to perpetuate injustice, to carry injustice to people, if they cannot find justice in the courts, where you should go for justice. If they cannot find justice there, I'm sure it's going to lead to something, and nobody wants that for this country. So, President Barrow, Inspector General of Police, Mr. Sanya, and all your security forces, please, let us conduct the affairs of this nation in a way that will promote peace. Let us promote and act in ways that will certainly ensure that this country is stable. This is what we all want. We do not want any Gambian to leave this country to go as refugees anywhere. We are receiving refugees. We don't want to be refugees in any country, and we shouldn't do anything that will make any of us refugees in any country. Gentlemen of the press, this is what I have to tell you, that is an absolute infringement, an absolute violation of Mr. Sabally's rights. The only thing is that they have contrived long ago that we must silence him. We must silence Ibrahim Adiba. You remember when Ibrahim Adiba was taken away? On spurious allegations of insulting the president. For saying that Obama futu mabadijan, that is true. You might have futu tantity. If I say Obama futu mabad, that is absolutely true. That is not insulting anybody. But those people who do not know, they don't understand Mandinka language. They went to say that is an insult to the president. The president was not insulted. It's just a statement of fact. A statement of fact. Because if Ibrahim Adiba says mo ba mo futu Usain Dabote. That is true. Ntele tata kasola fobi mol sita so ntela ba futu wala yakena dol sita ko do sita masal. That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Wato Anna Haklotu, let me say this in Mandinka because you are reporting, so you will not those who cannot read who do not understand English will not be able to understand what we are saying. Press molu journalist olu nga kontam banken ko spokesperson ya fo nyame nga le bismillah janto judi bila manja biro to janto na nyim press conference ona adon dalilo me ya nga kiro ki janto wala Mr. Sabally la ko wala mo be nga lon ka foko fenkelum amira aram salung arabalum talannan wato la law ya muta en fan danga tu na office ole to abe salola je to data la ko dan kay mbatu je to bare ya muta iko ya muta munela ani tiktokers no le sen sita e diamute ay mune fada ko mo kono ako nyim banko mba lockdown lale wala mba nyim banko mba soron lale ba sona jumal Abraham Baro so that ate bono la janto ay tabase ka nata ta jeto ba mo le tara jeto mel ba wurela nata ta fuladu am la bunya me so la ta so jeto nim president mo so to la banko ka fo banko nyima busi la ba Mr. Sabally ole fo ko banko nyim ba soron nale adu fem man ka kan moy salon ka ko banko soron ni man sakunda taw man ka kilinte kaw kambe banko sorona noni mo kuntan la ku benta so wala nyata kala be Mr. Sabally mutala bar même fam ya ko dimina wara ako jakalo wara wala mo e fali aje ko nyinde 72 hours nim man ta samba no la court woto ngata kiti bunto ala nyanto ngavo kiti bunga ya ala nyanto tinya ni mo la nyanto tinya ni banko ka ike bor mi do la kata court kita kiti bunga to under section 37 of the constitution ya fo ko man sa fele wala kar fele abe nyanto nya bat nyaka bay tere ngna e ka fo police wala ko al kar la nyanto tinya je ma hana fako arabu alena ma ni monde kata public holiday Tuesday man ke public holiday bari ma fako alna fo hani bela ma nyanto tinale dalila kante fanyum kuma kuntan dron wo mu miral ku balati gambian ko li aliaje al sistam sanni nako mansa kunda be menke kan wolomu abe jikole tamand ka ba dole londi kan ka ko si boy no mo kan de dron ye muta de ta ko ya ko de ko dukara soronye ya ko de luatinya adun jojo me nyinke nya manka ka fa maluwa londi ay luwa londi ada manka ka filita da man fili akola ko ntele yake adiata ntele moda kuno la je wala ntele nga ke adiata ntele amanka la londi ya bare be nga jele TRRC la report nga meji jeto courthouse judiciary jojo ya jame yusni ambe ngela condemnation jela mamira nyin judiciary sina son wala judiciary me yalo ka foko abe pare ka la head me yalo ka foko ebe arrangement keka pour kaje yama cases nyol do li seul prosecute no janyame kar ko tinyarol melkata ya jamera jamano wo judiciary killings na song ko keta tay keka jorangti kamo la nyanto ka busila dalila kante way ko nim momoy luatinya wallahi inyantale tay la luanya tilida adu mo mafako Mr. Sabally manyana prosecute la natra ka fako ay luatinya mofo bari ko ibe menke ka wala ni luwa manta be ngajele DRC même for security so forces la kuoto yeke jorangti nyame nyim banko ka to gambe dingil ke halaki kad femman tambi nyinna yemota yasin la kilito nimme laftaje la il faut mo ko insonta le yaaje ala bonda la dimbal ko atala badingal jala femman tambi mo halako la tambi ka tambi wala police solo iko be adama baro le fasala fania kam police olu iko adama baro kadu mo sabale men fana ka ko ni local government election no men binala te be constitution bele tala wallahi mo men ba fala ko alanga tanga carte ni alanga tanga nyenka wala ba fala ko be masakunda boy la lemba sembola ban ni me ya haklo soto al balo na ka ko mu manke to nyati mo meke ban ni mu ko lati men tafawnu e ko la ko Momodou Sabally Ibrahima Diba ani modo nyata men e ko be den la nyim banko kan MC Cham e ko be den la nyim banko kan ngajara ya Ibrahima Diba ku kuntang me yalon ko ya mutanu ya samba ko Ibrahima Diba fa ko adama baro ba mo fudu mo bat ni gambe ko but wo mun nandir lati nako adama baro ba adama baro le ba fudu Usain Bade Usain da Bade o san saf ka intenen o nako Usain da wala ba fudu ta mo ko dem Bade wota o mari nen ara mofo ani ka ko fo dum adama baro le ba fudu ta molti ba aliyajo kuku tanka ya samba Sabally men fo me yaram ka be audio to man ka kam moy la be ya moy ako banko ni bar lockdown la le am banko ni of course bar lockdown la le fo mo bu ka moy ka ko oh this is no go area for opposition, this is no go area for NPP fo bu ka ko fo man ka lockdown la ti bam fo man ka lockdown le dum bari police olu e be use kan anam aji la ko le wayndi sa ko bakat lawyer la ay luwa karani ay ada baake dole nyanta nyinkela ya ko no amalon bari te luwa lo e fa yemen kala fi David Fangtay ko ngalo ne ko nin ko menyum fa mbed luwani mbed luwati nyala le sa en court house du kare ma koy no luwani ngati nya barasikeda la kanka kadu there is nothing constitutional may a court empower kavoko mola nyanto e nyanta kafla mansa kunda mara court nya nyinde ni e mari charge offense la ye not court you apply it for bail court can integrate la bail yes go understand wo ngo understand kavoko wo sembo bela le yo ya ke bila lilo men kama fa sahata fa man sa muku ko tanede bar wasara ka ko sembo bar ni assemble ta jojo nyin she has no authority on the constitution ba fala in fact judges not be nimme Amina Sahola kito do karan Frank Diouf there's some I mean Diouf control yeah wala judgment ni me yokara ibalo na kaf ko nya kilo menke tilimbali ya lomu ka luato sembetala ka fa yoko practice direction wala be constitutional overrule mfuka mo ka fa ko the law national assembly legislation nani loi mantanyola o loi ni wo kaburkale for KMC ni attorney general for loi national assembly loi men fenka for supreme of kafka wol loi ni in constitution ni namanyota so ye burka so practice direction any joy relying on practice direction because you deprive people of their fundamental rights you have not I don't think you are doing it out of ignorance you are just doing it because you have been dictated to do so because you want to really provide comfort for Adama Barrow. You want to really provide comfort for NPP and his cohort. That is why this judge behaved this way. Not that she doesn't know the law. She just says, "Ma tay na ko def." Lima doon wax sama mbokk ay mooy li fi jotaay bi tey lu ko waral mooy affaire Momodou Sabally looloo ko waral. Gis nañ ne alarba la ko police yi téye bu njëkk wa dañ ko ne rek ñëwal ñu waxtaan. Pour mo naka di jàppa moo tax pour julli tisbaar ñu ne ko dañ la arrest ñu yóbbu ko lan lañ ko arresté ñu ne dafa wax ne dañoo jël réew mi te naka la ñoo jëlee réew mi wax na ko tiktokas yi mu ne na ngeen génna ngeen dem ut carte ngeen génn ngeen dem uti ñu ñoo bokk ci UDP ndax UDP mun a delloo office Fodé Danjo Rohey Malick Lowe Talib waaye nit yi liggéey bu rafet ñi liñ def mu ne looloo tax maa leen di sant pour na ngeen génn mu ne dinañ lockdown réew mi te lockdown réew mi mooy ne dinañ li fi ne dinañ téye fu nekk ci réew mi boo xam ne Adama Barrow du fa mun a dem su fa demee gàcce rek la faa jël xanaa duñ dee dégg fii ñu wax ne ci jamono jooju ne foo ñuy seen no go era of opposition duñ dee dégg ñuy wax ne Badbu is no go area for this and that loolu nag fi dee dégg so lockdown mooy the whole country will be a no go area for Adama Barrow except the State House lu moo def State House su génnee dem Mankamankounda sax dafa jëlee gàcce that is what loolu la Momodou Sabally di wax ne waaye li soosee dee wax ne kuusiyaa tiiti ñoolu ñi nga xam ne dañoo jël mbir def ko proportion out of proportion for their own selfish interest ñu li fi ne lii coup d'état la ci coup d'état bi la bokk waaye ngeen xam ne yéen a gën a xam ne lii amul benn tudd coup d'état kenn du wax ne damay def coup d'état ba pare ngay wax ne nañ leen toppal loi kuy def loolu waaye lii nag liñ planoon la bu yàgg ñoom NPP seen forum yi dégg nañ leen ñu ne Momodou Sabally foo ñu dañ ko noppiloo fii nañ ko def mu noppi MC Thiam Ibrahima Diba foo ñu fexe daal ñii ñu noppi suñ defut loolu ñun duñ fi am jàmm fii gis ngeen Ibrahima Diba fi mu ne kenn de am sewut keneen ñu dóobu ko kii Momodou Sabally ne mbe banko taala mbe banko lockdown la ñu ne loolu treason la waaye li ma ci gën a lifin mooy suñu loi bu mag bi constitution bi cër bi mu jox nit mooy ne su fekkee am na képp am na nit mooy na government or any other person bugg a sa cër boobu bugg a koo jël amee da nga yaakaar ne daf ko bugg a jël mbaate mu ngee def ay jël ba ne mu ngi koo jël da nga war a dem ci court waa court bi ne na ko stop sa cër bi nga am nga exercise ko waaye ngay dem ci court di ko wax ne diw de lii mooy cëram lii la ko luwaa jox waaye dama bugga nga aaye ko man ko soog a dégga nga dem court ne diw sangam lii droit bi lii la ko jox waaye dama bugga yow court bi nga aaye ko mu ngi soog a am Gambia fii te luwaa jooj bi ko def nekkul ne dafa ñàkk xam-xam de am na xam-xam parce que kuy joytu ne suma cër den ko bugg a jël ci ñooñ la dee daw high court pour mu gis ne aar na ko pour mu gis ne loi dox na according to the constitution waaye dafa def yëfi maa tey maa am doole bi ñëw nañ dama koo def ci holiday time la kenn du ci mun dara court baa ngi tëj soo maa tey naa ko def waaye nag tur bi yàqu bi nag dégga du nekk police de du police la ñoo yàq seen tur du in fact du even nekk Adama xëy na dinañ ne Adama Barrow ak police yi ñoom ñoo doon lifi seen loxoom ci suuf waaye moom George bi na dem down in the history of this country ne moom moo def lii wax nguur ne kii de dégga lii la cëram waaye nag jox naa la doole nga yàq cër boobu loolu na dem down in the history te goma ne loolu baax na ci moom internationally ak in the eyes of human rights defenders and human rights advocates maa ngi appeal nag to the National Human Rights Commission maa ngi appeal to NGOs yi nga xam ne seen jéego mooy seen taxawaay mooy ne protect rights of the people képp koo xam ne yow bugga nga ne loi nekk ci réew mi nit yi seen cër seen rights ñu protect ko ma ngi leen di wax ñëpp ñu bokk ak UDP yëf yu ñaaw bi nga xam ne moo door nii ñu génnee ko parce que doo def maatee rek jël nit taaj ko benn place ne yow yaa am doole pour def loolu in the first place amul benn doole benn loi joxut ko challenge naa ko ba challenge na any judge moo wax ne dama wax ne loi bi moo ko jox lii soo ne practice direction loolu def di loi Chief Justice toog rek lifin National Assembly pass fi ay loi Supreme Court ne loi yooyu méngut ak suñ constitution bi so fundamental human rights boo xam ne is entrenched is guaranteed so a flimsy practice direction moom moo war overrule loolu léegi gàcce la pour Gambia waaye nag jaakaar naa ne dinañ doon jàng ci TRRC li wax ci judiciary bi ci jamono Yahya Jammeh li wax ci security force ci jamono Yahya Jammeh yaakaaroon naa ne képp koo xam ne yaa ngi ci security forces yi képp koo xam ne yaa ngi ci néegi attekaay bi di nga bàyyi sa xel ci loolu ne gis nañ ne dañ leen use on pour nit yi deprive leen of their freedoms ñi nga xam ne ñoo def lii su fekkee woon ne seen mbokk leen téye woon ñoom ñoo fee nekk di juuxu di wax ne lii àndut ak yoon waaye nag Mr Tall wax naa ne fii jamono bii nekk ni Christmas jamono jàmm la Jesus Christ dafa ñëw according to Christian doctrine dafa ñëw pour doomi aadama pour saxal jàmm ci àddina pour gis ne doomi aadama cëram li ko yàlla jox loolu mu exercise ko te bokk na ci freedom ba nga njoore sa bopp bokk na ci nga diine bi nga bokk nga bokk ci bokk na ci bokk na ci ne duñ la lifin mukk duñ la atteel mukk te dégluñu la looloo tax even Barajos even Milton ci Paradise Lost ñu ngee lifin ñu ne Adama Yàlla ne du ko punish fa mu wax ko ne lu tax nga def lii waaye yow nga jos jël nit punish ko déglu loo ko ba pare nga def ci sa kayit bii ne absent mel na ne danga ko joxoon danga ko saafoon te saafuñ ko wax ne absent to ku riid li fi dangaa fa ne oh Mr Sabally nag xama lu tax demut waaye saafuñ ko ñu def ko rek ci gannaawam en ma ko waxee di ci jamono bi jamono jàmm la jàmm nag léegi ñun ñëpp suñu ragal la suñu responsabilité la pour def loo xam ne dafa saxal jàmm ci réew mi waaye nag nit nag boo ko def injustice nag mooy nooni jàmm injustice nooni jàmm la te li mu bëgg ci réew mi mooy let justice guide our actions towards the common good loolu lañ bëgg maa ngi leen di gërëm yéen pressmen yi di leen sant wa salaam sorry Mr def ma benn written statement I just doing this on top of my head waaye nag seen affidavit bi at least this transcribe naa leen ko jox xam naa ne ñu nekk ci audio yi every media house am naa ko I'm sure of that tiktokers every media house am nañ ko so ñoom liñ transcribe ngeen seet loolu ngeen déglu li ngeen déglu Momodou Sabally li mu wax li ngeen gis even transcription bi was false it's not correct ñu jël ci benn lifin rek you see the whole all these three pages benn sentence rek lañ ci dem we are going to do massive aggressive campaign we are going to retrieve government from Adama Barrow. That is a lie. He said we are going to retrieve country. The bank tada. He never said we are going to retrieve government. It's a lie. Why Ben sentence Bob jail from all these 3 pages. So we'll give it to you as also as saying phony affidavit be. Gentlemen of them, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary General and
Yes,
the party leader. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, the party leader has an additional engagement. So we can only take very few questions. But before that, let me recognize the presence of the Deputy Secretary General, Party Leader, who has also joined the press. So kindly come up and to recognize the presence of the members of the National Assembly.
No, it's not more than one copy. It's more than one copy. It's more than one copy. Connections. That is the flimsy excuse that the government is employing to detain him. Look, if I want to talk about overthrowing the government, I don't do it in the public, talk with the people in that way. It will be done in complete secret. If I'm plotting for overthrow of a government, and Mr. Sabally is intelligent enough, if he's into overthrowing, it will not, those are not the people that he will talk to on those type of issues.
My question is, do you understand that the AD Chambers filed an expert application seeking detention of Mr. Momodou Sabally during the mandatory 72 hours as prescribed by the 1997 Constitution of the Gambia? As a legal nominee and a legal expert, party leader of the United Democratic Party, do you think the judiciary has acted within the confinement of the law, continue detaining Mr. Sabally, even though he was not charged by the police?
What is central in this press briefing? In the first place, depriving a person of his constitutional right, ex parte, I've never heard of it. You ought to have jurisdiction conferred on you by the Constitution or other law. And in fact, if any law confers jurisdiction of a court to deprive a person of his liberty who has not been charged for an offense, that law would be inconsistent with the Constitution. And I think also it's an abuse of the process by the Attorney General to have filed an ex parte motion. If they were sure of what they were doing, they should have filed a summons on notice. And again, I fault the judge. When the fundamental rights of an individual is an issue, and it comes to before you ex parte, the right thing for her to do was to order that, no, I will not hear this application ex parte, serve the other party. That is what is in keeping with practice. That is what is in keeping with the thinking of people who are protective of the fundamental rights of citizens of this country. But if you do not care about the fundamental rights and liberties of any of the citizens of this country, you will go on, file an ex parte motion, and then give it to whatever judge, and then for the judge to endorse your violation, your continued violation of the Constitution. It's as simple as that. There's nothing that can cure an illegality. It is illegal. So there's nothing that can cure that illegality. Because from the word go, it was wrong. So it is not this judicial gymnastics that will really give validity to Mr. Sabally's continued detention. Because whatever you do, whatever practice that you rely on is inconsistent with the Constitution. So I think this is not about that, but I think I want to leave those issues for Mr. Fati to deal with. But I have no doubt in my mind that is an abuse of the judicial process. And then we all know, the Attorney General knows what an abuse of judicial process is, to irritate a person, to do things to the annoyance of a person. And this, they're just trying to irritate Mr. Sabally and annoy Mr. Sabally, and of course, annoy UDP and also irritate UDP. That is all they're doing.
I just want to know if you have made peace in terms of attacking, if you have made peace, a swift twist in attacking judges in his capacity. And also I've seen young boys around me. What does this take in the next move in particular?
So I don't.
Extra move by the party.
So whether I have attacked any judge,
No, I mean, many times you condemn people not to.
they are human beings. When they make mistakes, yes, I cannot condone anyone criticizing them. But when a judge deliberately abdicates his responsibility, his or her responsibility, in protecting one's individual rights, we have a right to say so, and we'll say so. Because this is a political issue, and we believe that politicians are using the judge, so we'll also deal with it politically. That is what we are doing. As I say, I have enormous respect for all the judges of this country. But that doesn't mean that when a judge behaves in this way, I should keep quiet about it. When judges do things that is that I feel they are wrong, but it has been done properly in a legitimate way, of course I cannot complain about that. I mean, the presence of these young men here just shows that the young leadership of the United Democratic Party, because they are youth of the United Democratic Party, it just shows that the youth leadership of this country are really prepared and they are ready to take their responsibility in the party. That is what it tells. With the Solosanen issue, before we went out on Solosanen case, there was an executive committee meeting, and the executive sanctioned it. So this one also, we'll see what we'll do. But I will not say that this is what we are going to do without the sanction of the executive. So I think that's it. Well, if Barrow is testing the depth of disease, well, I have said that, look, injustice is the recipe for instability. And I do not think any one of us, including President Barrow, would want to do anything that would really destabilize this country. Time has gone past when you trample on the liberties of individuals, and then it's just as if nothing has happened. That era has gone, and it will never come back. So, if President Barrow is testing the depth of the seas, then I think he should really rethink that it cannot happen, and it will not happen. I am not suggesting anything, but look, you know, you fear a place where you have never been. You know, the Mandingos, you say Wanato. You know, if you've been to Wanato, you don't fear what is in the Wanato. Yeah? I mean, you see, Mr. Sabally is uncomfortable where he is. But Mr. Sabally has experienced detention. I mean, in some years ago. So for him, it's nothing new. It's just that we outside, we are worried. But I know, because I've met him, we've spoken. He's not worried. And he's not worried because he has not committed any offense. That is why he's not worried. All this is a nuisance, but again, I want to say that all of us should together work to ensure that peace prevails in this country. And that will happen if we pay heed to this stanza in our national anthem. Let justice guide our actions towards the common good. Let us do that. I don't know whether it's a message I want to give him or a reminder. Last week, he was on the State of Affairs, QTV. He gave a very impressive interview. And one of the things he said, which endeared the police to me, is that there is a human rights unit established within the Gambia Police Force to ensure that people's fundamental rights and liberties are not in any way violated. You cannot have such a unit within your institution and then turn around and promote the violation and infringement of the fundamental rights of another citizen. So maybe that statement he made on TV maybe was just a public relations stunt. And I don't think Mr. Sanya should really be engaging in public relations stunts. I think it should be meaningful that that unit to have any value which is answerable to him directly. That is what he says. Unit is answerable to him directly. That he should ensure that the fundamental rights of Gambian citizens are respected at all times. That is the message I want to send to him.
Questions. We have been asking for fundamental law reforms for the last 5 years or so as a political party. And I think it would be clear, like party leader has said, that Jamaji Amtire will be Nanyani Alamuyo, you better see Vero Ajalo, Gambian Sip, and State. She is the government together. The last item on the agenda is the affidavit that is supporting this illegal detention. I'm pleased to share it
with the exhibit. With the exhibit.
Honorable members of the National Assembly, thank you very much for coming. Let's go.
ku ne am na lu di daanaan si yow loo xam ne kenn mënut laa ci raw bés ba ko xaamee la la lele demal ma xàmme ci loo taxaw am na lu yàgg ne law ci yow yow ba ko xaamee kon kenn du la daane affaire de ndaanaan ndaanaan gëm taaleen kenn njaay ndaana Condemns TV, yen ndaanaan. You know the deal. This is your boy, Bai Barhama. I'm watching Gambian Talent TV. Bis bu nekk, you know what I mean? Keep watching. These guys, ndaanaan.